Just how much do the Oilers miss Evander Kane and Kailer Yamamoto over the past 5 games? It's been something for the Oilers, struggling to score goals, still giving up a ton of goals, and of course not winning a heck of a lot of hockey games as of late. 3-7 in the last 10 in the back half of the first quarter of this NHL season. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dolynny TV. My pleasure to have you along today. I'd love if you could leave a like on the video if you enjoy today's topic, and consider throughout the video hitting that subscribe button and staying tuned to the Oilers chat all season long here on Dolynny TV. Folks, like I said, how much do the Oilers miss Evander Kane and Kailer Yamamoto? Because right now, I think this past 5 game stretch, it has been evident. And obviously the talk is the Oilers' defense is so bad, the goaltending is terrible. Oh my God, we're imploding, it's over, finish the season, we're done, we're missing the playoffs. And way too easy, everybody's ready to give up already 20 games into the year because we're 10-10 at American Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all our friends down in the States, by the way. Glad to have you along tonight. If you're choosing to sneak away from the family for 5 minutes and come watch Dolynny TV, thank you very much. And as a Canadian, I'm thankful you choose Dolynny TV for your Oilers coverage. So, that's the question, right? Is how much do the Oilers miss Evander Kane and Kailer Yamamoto? Well, let me just throw a couple of numbers at you. Real baseline kind of things. Nothing groundbreaking here. In the past 5 games, the Oilers have scored 11 goals. Divide that out by 5. Right, since Evander Kane and Kailer Yamamoto have been out of lineup, Tampa Bay, right, go back to the Florida game, 2.2 goals for. Now that's a big number, and I'll bring it up in a moment. And you average that out over an 82 game pace, that's only 180 goals for. However, you go into this goals against situation where the Oilers have allowed only 16 goals against in the past 5 games. That sounds like a lot, but that's actually 3.2 goals against per game, which is on 72 games in 20 or 72 goals against in 20 games so far this season. That's actually been improved by 0.4 goals against. Actually, hold on, remove those last. We'll do this exercise this way. Sorry, let's go for clarity. The 15 games prior, you remove the 16 goals against, 56 goals divided by 15 games prior. That's 3.73 goals against per game. The Oilers have actually brought the goals against down by 0.53 repeating goals against in the past 5, and yet have lost the past 2, lost 3 of 5, and have only won by a goal differential of 3 in their 2 victories. You see where I'm going with this? Yes, it's a shutout, 3-goal loss, 3-goal loss, 2-goal loss, and the Oilers losing big in a couple of games. Really no 1-goal games there that we're talking about. But you look at that, right? How much do the Oilers miss Kailer Yamamoto and Evander Kane, 2 top 6 pieces to begin every season and throughout every season for the past several years for the Edmonton Oilers, Yamamoto and Kane the past 2. So that's the big question now for the Oilers. How much do they miss that? You can say the passion, you can say all that, but just even the scoring impact alone is meaningful when you look and crunch the most baseline goals for, goals against numbers. But the big thing we're missing in all this is we're ready to throw away this Oilers team despite them being much more defensive, I guess, realistically, cutting out half a goal per game over the past 5. So you talk about 2.5 goals less out of the last 5 games compared to the previous 15 stretch. That's a pretty big differential when you start talking about how bad the Oilers would be losing, right? 16 goals against in 5 games. You're talking about chopping out 2.5. Well, technically, actually, 53, you'd be talking about chopping up probably almost actually 3 goals against. So you're talking about a difference. Instead of 19 goals against, the Oilers have only allowed 16. That's a pretty big get, right? There should be a lot more ugly losses, is what the season characteristics of this team say. So we're getting better defensively, the baseline numbers say, in the past 5. However, the offense has tailed off at, what was that number I said a few moments ago? 2.2 goals per game. That's the big number you have to keep in mind, 2.2. And here's the thing, I don't care what you think of the Oilers being a two-man team, a three-man team, a four-man team, if you include Hyman and Nugent-Hopkins, is the Oilers are not an offense that goes out for a stretch of 20 games in a season and scores 2.2 goals all season long. The Oilers, for the first 15 games of the season, more or less were outscoring their problems, sure. But suddenly you take away this 11-goal stretch, 55 goals for in 15 games, that's a 3.6 goals for stretch, almost 3.7 over the start of the first 15. Now you go to this 2.2 and suddenly, dang, you are not having a good go of it at all, right? 66 goals for on the season, only 11 in the last 5. But if you average that out, 3.66, we'll go 6.7 times 82. If that's the average we maintain, is 300 goals on a season. That's pretty phenomenal, 301 actually. And you go to that 3.2 times 82, that's 262 goals against per season. Suddenly your goal differential is 38. That's pretty phenomenal considering right now the Vegas Golden Knights in 21 games are on pace to more or less score or allow 203 goals against and score 300 goals. So, right, the goal differentials are there, but the Vegas Golden Knights are also 16-4-1. So the baseline numbers say for the Oilers, if they snap out of this offensive funk the last 5 games, and that's just as much on Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl as everybody else, you can't run your power play out there 5 times and come up empty against the New York Islanders. You just physically cannot. And unfortunately the Oilers did that last night. Is simply put, this is as much defensive and goaltending as it is offense right now. And for the Oilers, that then begs that question I asked you off the top. Just how much do the Oilers miss Evander Kane and Kailer Yamamoto? And now we move into what you clicked for. Simply put, do the Oilers need to make a trade to increase scoring, figure out the top 6, get this team back on track? Well, the question to you, my friends, and the reason why I think the Minnesota Wild would have traded for Ryan Reeves instead of the Oilers is there somebody available that's going to be an exact replica of Evander Kane? Because the only way the Oilers necessarily fix the problems offensively that they're missing is by reinserting Evander Kane and Kailer Yamamoto into the lineup. Those are 2 of the most unique players in the NHL, in my opinion. Obviously, everybody would understand that with Evander Kane. And secondary, think about Kailer Yamamoto and what he brings to the table in his dynamic skill set and why he has become a regular NHL player in the Oilers lineup despite having spells where he doesn't capitalize on chances, doesn't create a lot, passes up shooting attempts, is because of that skill set he brings as a small guy that gets to the greasy areas every chance he can go. So, right? That's the question. You can talk about making a trade, but just how much of it is only going to be solved by reinserting Evander Kane and Kailer Yamamoto into the lineup. Next question though begs, and we'll have this in a video soon as we know what his conditioning stint looks like this weekend in Tyler Benson coming back up to the Edmonton Oilers. Folks, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. It was my great pleasure to have you along for this video, just quite plainly discussing out the problems right now. And I think a major question we're all asking ourselves is, hold up, we're missing Yamamoto and Kane. That's a pretty big loss. And suddenly you can start mapping it out that way. Folks, have yourself a great rest of your Thanksgiving if you're in the States this evening. And if you're joining me from Canada, thanks so much for tuning in on a fine Thursday evening. It's +10 in southern Alberta today. Not too bad. Deliveries were pretty sweet, let me tell ya. And oh, by the way, it's my work Christmas party tomorrow, so you won't really hear from me, but we'll talk to you on Saturday. I am up on out of here.